So today's topic is going to be about touching the ball, digital training, and everything that's going on with the coronavirus. One thing I want to point out, everybody's being encouraged by their coaches or their clubs to touch the ball as many times as they can, anywhere they can. That being in the basement, in the living room, in the front driveway of the garage, on the street, anywhere. I hate to break the news to you, but falling in love with a ball on any given surface, that's called futsal. That's something that should be practiced year-round everywhere. That's something that the other countries know that we still have not mastered. So a bunch of things to talk about. How is coronavirus affecting youth soccer, both on the player side as well as the institutions, organizations, leagues, and whatnot, as well as what is a player or a parent to do, and try to bring futsal into the conversation. Something that if you know my videos, if you follow me, if you know who I am, futsal is part of my daily routine. Futsal is something that I preach about year-round, and something that I'm very passionate about to bring more education and awareness to the everyday youth soccer player, parents, even some of the coaches, volunteers, or whatnot that still have not embraced the benefits of futsal. So let's just start with right here. Just pulled up, Google, just typed in how is coronavirus affecting youth soccer training. For the parents, you guys are, sitting home now, looking for things to do. Why not just do a Google search and, read a bunch of great articles that online on how is the situation affecting paid organizations, paid leagues, the international leagues, obviously, that have stopped playing, the players, and all that good stuff. Again, there's a lot of different opinions. There's a lot of facts. There's a lot of things to digest. And like everything else, it's not something that you can just, draw an opinion in a matter of seconds. You do have to get online and read a bunch of different articles, read a bunch of different opinions, and then come to your own conclusion. My opinion of this basically is very, very simple. First of all, we want to make sure that we follow the guidelines and, everybody's safe. I personally feel that the time will come where this is just going to be another disease like the flu or the other crazy illnesses out there that if you get it, you'll be able to take a medication, and for the most part, you'll be okay. Don't get me wrong; there are going to be people that are going to be sick by it, and unfortunately, die from this virus just like any other virus. But for the time being, while we're dealing with this and everybody's shut down, how is this going to affect the player? How is the player going to be affected psychologically, physically? What happens if tomorrow, well, let's not exaggerate, tomorrow is April 5th or 6th. By the end of April, let's say that we're coming to, a point where everything's opened up and they give us the okay to start training on May 1st, or they say, well, you know what, there's going to be another month, so before you start training will be, June 1st. For those players that are just sitting around doing nothing, and my little earbud is not wanting to behave today. For those players that are sitting around doing nothing, it's going to have an effect. If you just, going to spend a month or two on a sideline, taking advantage of not having to do any physical activity, it will impact you. We cannot train. As coaches, if you're a professional coach, we cannot gather players. At least you're not supposed to, although I know coaches are, I don't know how I want to justify this. I'm not going to make any comments, that they are gathering their teams together in groups. And I know they're in small groups. There might be 7, 8 kids or 10 kids or 5 kids and still training them, although you're not supposed to. By most standards, most, if not all, clubs, paid organizations, their fields are shut down, and you're not supposed to go there and do anything because, simple, if you have the virus and, you don't have any symptoms, you may not show it, but you can infect, a kid, or vice versa. A kid can affect, a coach, and so on and so forth. That's why you're not supposed to do it. However, not everybody follows the rules. So the anxiety, the anticipation of wanting to play takes over us. But there's something that we can do. And in my opinion, this is something that is a huge positive out of this situation. In a very negative situation, in a bad situation, there's something positive that can come out of this. So, again, reading all these articles, all right, you'll be able to draw your own conclusions. You'll be able to think about what's going on and possibly address the future. Now, if you go into YouTube and, just Google, YouTube in there, coronavirus training, I just put in there coronavirus online soccer training, or home soccer training, or anything of the sort, you'll notice there's like tons of videos recently. Look, this is 2 weeks, 4 days ago, 5 days, 2 hours ago, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, 1 week ago. Everybody's, jumping on and making videos, coaches, showing, different ways that the players can stay active and work on their skills. So here's the positive, in my opinion. The positive is that out of this mess, youth soccer players can learn how to fall in love with a soccer ball. Okay? And I'm just going to, I had this video opened up before only because I follow this gentleman. He's a professional soccer player. And in this particular video, he is, showing his routine now that he cannot play because he's in quarantine. And he went for a run and he found this particular, I don't even know what you want to call this, but he found this little area, and guess what? He's touching the ball. I'm going to lower the volume. So he's using his touches, and he found this is perfect. It has 3 walls, and you'll notice, I'm just going to fast forward. He's touching both feet with the ball, and he's using all surfaces and all that good stuff. And he's developing his touches on the ball. If you go to, again, any video and you touch it, you'll notice that most coaches, being that, the fields and the complexes may be shut down, they're using their backyards because, again, you are supposed to be quarantined, stay at home. So you'll notice that, like, this particular coach is doing touches on the ball, different variations, pullbacks, all kinds of nice stuff with the kids. There's a point where he starts doing moves, and then he'll go and at some point, juggle the ball, and then he touches the ball against the wall. Nice, cool stuff. There's another video here I saw. This video discusses basically how the pros handle the situation, juggling the ball in the house. This pro is doing physical activities with, some weights on his balcony or what have you. There's another one, again, doing different activities. Coaches doing different activities with the ball. On and on and on, guys. I mean, I don't have to go on. My point I'm trying to make is actually two different points. One point is, and again, I pulled out a bunch of stuff. I mean, you can just go ahead and soccer training at home. I just did this one. All right, so you'll see most of the training is done again at home. That's the purpose of it, right? Okay, so point number one. This is a great time for all youth soccer players to fall in love with their ball. The way they started, when they were 4 or 5 years old, when they first started kicking the ball, the object is the ball. That's the toy. Everybody wants that ball. Every kid wants to chase that ball. Every kid wants to touch that ball. Somewhere down the line, as players start joining organized groups and teams and what have you, the focus a lot of times shifts from touching the ball to playing the game, and then the coaches come in and basically start structuring the training sessions. Even at a very, very young age, they start structuring the training session. You'll see lines. You'll see activities, this, that. Touching the ball, unfortunately for coaches that are not paid coaches comes secondary. One of the biggest pet peeves that I have, and I see it all the time from volunteer coaches, that when they get to the field, they instruct the kids to do laps. So the kids will run and run and run and run. But there's no balls on their feet. Why not, if you're going to make them run, why not put the ball in the feet and let them touch the ball? The game revolves around touching a ball. The better you become touching a ball, the faster you learn how to manipulate and master touching the ball, the better player you'll become. Because the game requires to have a ball. So, in this negative time, in this mess that we're in, one of the positives, in my opinion, is that all soccer players can spend every day an hour touching the ball by themselves. They don't need a coach. They don't need a training ground anywhere inside their living room, basement, in front of their house, against the wall, anywhere. Just touching the ball, getting a feel for the ball. There was a movie. I forget the name of the movie, and I forget the storyline. But basically, it was about a football player. It was a really, really good football player. But he used to fumble a lot. He was a running back, so he used to fumble a lot. So the coach gave him a ball, and he told him to hold on to the ball. Anytime that somebody would touch the ball and knock it off his hands, there was a punishment that he had to do. I forget which one it was. But the whole point was that to get in touch with the ball and feel the ball. So this is kind of the same, okay? Touching the ball a lot of times. You'll see a lot of players, a lot of coaches are touching the ball shoeless. There's no shoes on their feet because they're getting in touch with the ball. They get a feel for the ball on their feet. And I know it may sound weird and to a lot of, novice parents, or if you're just getting started, it may sound crazy. But it's not any crazier than when you see movies and you'll see, people tossing eggs if you're a goalkeeper. So you can develop a nice touch with your hands without breaking the egg. It's the same kind of philosophy, touching the ball and getting a feel for the ball, being able to manipulate the ball without looking down. The other issue is that, or the other point, should I say, is that if you notice, most of the training that's done in all these videos, the choice of surface, this college player who's getting ready to do some training, and he goes to a handball court and finds a surface, and he's going to start doing his training. So, if you notice, the majority of these videos are shot at surfaces that are non-grass surfaces, non-turf surfaces. Well, I hate to tell you this, but that's futsal. Futsal is basically a version of a soccer game that's played with a smaller amount of players, 5, in a smaller playing area. The The surface is harder, which makes it faster. It's more difficult to control the ball because the ball moves faster. So the premise is that if you're playing futsal, if you call it, a lot of people call it street ball, street ball. If you're playing outside, it becomes more difficult to manipulate the ball as it is on the grass or the turf. So that means that if you become really good at touching the ball in this surface, and then you go back into a turf or a grass application, man, you just accelerate. I mean, your development is huge. So the 2 points, once again, is that in this negative mess that we're in, here's an idea for us to fall in love, for the kids to fall in love with the ball, touching the ball countless times. And there's no right or wrong, by the way. Don't just sit there and try to, in my opinion, again, sit there and try to coach them how to do it. Just let them play with the ball. Any touch on the ball is a good touch with the ball. Sooner or later, what you think might be a negative touch, will become a positive touch because they will figure out how to keep the ball close to them. Okay? It's no fun kicking the ball and chasing after the ball. It really isn't. They want to touch the ball as many times as possible. Why? Because that's fun. Touching and hitting the ball is fun. Kicking the ball and running afterward, it's not fun. So they'll figure it out for themselves. If the ball is bouncing away from them, if they don't have a good touch in the beginning, sooner or later they will develop a good touch. I mean, obviously this college player, he has pretty good touches and does a lot of things that you're, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9-year-old won't be able to do it. But it doesn't mean that we can't just let them try. Okay? So once again, the points that I wanted to make is that, number one, a big positive out of this is that our players can fall in love with touching the ball. Okay, number one. Number two, let them touch the ball in a non-turf or non-grass application. It's more difficult. It's more difficult to manipulate and master ball control in this kind of surface than on grass or turf. If you do another Google search or if you do a YouTube search, you'll notice all professionals get good at manipulating the ball on a hard surface, on a futsal surface, not on a grass surface. It is more difficult. The ball rolls away easier. The ball moves faster. It's a lot more difficult to control the ball on this surface, as this girl is doing. This is very good, by the way, as it is to manipulate the ball on turf or grass where it's slower. Take my word for it. If you don't believe me, take a soccer ball and go and try it. Go try it and do you don't have to do tricks, because as parents you may not know how to do tricks. Just try to control the ball on turf, on grass, and then on a hard surface. Lastly, I was doing another search, and guess what? Number 14 on Netflix, Concrete Football, which is another version of futsal. Okay, pretty good movie. Which again, it shows you, it tells you here, the development of professional soccer worldwide owes a great debt to the soccer or football that is played in the streets of France. Anywhere you go worldwide, kids are playing football, soccer, anywhere they find. Between cars, between trees, on the beach, in a veranda, in front of the house, anywhere. It doesn't have to be grass, doesn't have to be turf. In fact, in other countries, we don't have the luxury, they don't have the luxury as we have here with these beautiful facilities that we have. The kids will play and touch the ball anywhere. So concrete football is a fantastic way, once again, to develop your skills. So I want to encourage you to go to this channel, Central Jersey Futsal. It was created recently, and we uploaded some videos of one of the programs that we did last year here in Jackson. We basically took over a futsal. Sorry, not futsal. It's a roller hockey rink, and we transformed it into a futsal, 2 futsal courts. We invited players to just come and play. We put up the goals, as you guys can see. We gave out pins to the kids. We rolled out some balls. The parents out there watching. No coaching, just playing. We're gonna be doing the same thing again this year during the summer if everything goes well and we're clear to go and play. So keep your eye on that. Once again, these are the things that will help the kids develop immensely. Non-directional soccer, street futsal. Just roll the ball out there, let them play. Let me see if I can find another video. We haven't uploaded that many yet. I promise that we will upload more. But I would invite you guys to go ahead on YouTube and join Central Jersey, become a subscriber. Central Jersey Futsal, and we're going to be uploading more games and more videos of stuff like this. But once again, finalizing parting thoughts, in my opinion, 2 things that can come out of this mess. Number 1 is players will touch the ball a lot more, fall in love with the ball, but you can't force them. It has to begin with them and end with them. They need to want to go out there and play with the ball. They need to have the desire to touch the ball. You can't force them out there, and I know we're all guilty. We want to push our kids to train. That's another problem that we see. You can't force development, just like you can't buy development. You can't force development. It always starts and ends with the player. If they want it bad enough, they will go out and get it done. You can force them all they want to train and do all the things that you think that they should be done. At the end of the day, it begins and ends with them. And lastly, let them do all these touches. Let them do all this training on a hard surface. Anywhere. Front of your house, in the basement, on the street, anywhere. Just let them touch the ball. Okay? So these are the 2 things that I think come out of this great negative thing. I hope all you guys stay safe. I hope this coronavirus goes away soon. I hope we get on with our lives and we can proceed in developing the next generation of quality top players here in America that will be able to represent this country and be able to play on the international stage for years to come. But it begins and ends with them having the desire. It begins and ends with us understanding the great benefits of street soccer, futsal, anytime, anywhere, by anyone. Take care.